And we're live.
All right.
Let's give everybody a couple of minutes. But
All right. Sounds good.
yeah. So um, you know, are you tired after all of the stuff that I mean, you told me you worked so many hours.
Yeah. I pulled some extra time with work and working on the dock and getting everything done with that. We've had a bunch of public events, so we have been extremely busy with that on top of everything else, which is good. I mean, I'm not complaining, but it just seems like um, I've got a full time job, and this is a full time job, so it
Absolutely.
just sleep is something I guess I'll do when I'm dead.
Right. It's funny. I remember lyrics to a rap song, and I know not a lot of my friends listen to rap. I'm probably the only one, but it's an old school stuff. It's not the new stuff. But Nas said that he never sleeps because sleep is the cousin of death.
There you
And
go.
I said, you know what? That's brilliant. It's so true. we
Yes,
wouldn't
so
be able
true
to be
words.
we wouldn't be able to be doing this if we had to have sleep, right?
That's exactly right. Because it's definitely not a banker's hours type of deal.
So true. All right. So I would have welcome, if you guys don't know. Hi Al. Um
What's
uh
up, Al?
and Bill Freeman. Hi Bill.
Hey, Bill.
So if you guys don't know who Matt is, he's a very, very, very dear friend of mine. You would think that we've known each other for like 55 years and we've investigated a million times together. But we met once in person. We
Yep.
investigated a weekend together.
Yep.
And he's like my Biff. He's like my Tennessee Biff.
And we've just stayed in touch ever since. We just really clicked, and it was really awesome. So, and we're
Yeah.
gonna fix that this year, though. We're gonna actually, now that the
Yes.
pandemic is winding down, we're gonna get back in the field together and do some ghost hunting because we need to.
Yes, absolutely. And I definitely, I want to
Hey,
come
Troy.
to, I want to come to Tennessee.
Hey,
I really
Christina.
do. I do want to come down there, but if you guys are going to be traveling and doing whatever coming up, I would love to take you guys to Gettysburg for sure.
We would love to do Gettysburg. We've never done it. I've visited Gettysburg myself, but I've never ever been there for the paranormal side of it. And I'm a big history buff anyway, so that to me would be like fantastic. So
Oh,
yeah, definitely
yeah,
down for that.
that would be awesome, right?
Hmm.
So anytime you guys want to do that, all about
And, and not that you have like a unhealthy connection with Gettysburg or anything. Not at all, though. So
it. Yeah.
hey,
Hi,
Sky.
Sky. Um, so we're here to talk about. So actually, Matt, give a
Yeah.
little bit about yourself, really quick, and
All
then
right.
we're going to talk about this awesome documentary that's coming out that I cannot wait to see.
All right, so I'll kind of segue into that. But my name is Matt Sorge. I've been a paranormal researcher for close to 15 years, actually right at 15 years. Got my start the kind of unusual way. A lot of people were into it their whole lives, and they always had experiences. That wasn't my story. My story was just I was in my 30s before I had my first experience. I like to metal detect as a hobby, and I was actually out doing that for some Civil War relics at an old farmhouse, and I had my first paranormal experience. Um, I saw an apparition in the window looking back in a house that had been abandoned for probably 40 years. No power to it. Nobody had been in it. There's no reason anybody should have been there. That started me down this path, which that led to questions and curiosity, which became a passion. That passion led to founding a team, which I do have an incredible team located here in East Tennessee. We're actually based out of the Nickerson Sneed Museum in Glade Spring, Virginia. It is an incredibly haunted location, even though we travel all over the country, and I've had the pleasure of investigating some of America's most haunted places. Our home haunt is still a place that never disappoints. So we're very blessed to be based out of such a great place. Um, Over the 15 years, I've probably conducted a few hundred investigations between residential and, like I said, some of America's most infamous hauntings. Um, so that's what that's just kind of my story and kind of how I got my start and kind of how the team formed. And that's sort of the Reader's Digest version. But there you have it.
So you're very busy, and I'm just going to assume family
Yes.
supportive.
Yes. Very.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
That's
you got to
awesome.
have that. You got to
Yeah,
have
you
that
do.
because if your family isn't behind you, it's very hard in anything you do in life. So yes, I'm very blessed in that department to have friends and family and colleagues that are very supportive of all the endeavors that I seem to take on. So
Yeah, I mean, if you have a full-time job and then this, like you said, this is a full-time job. So, it's like you're always working. I mean, you have to have somebody in your corner that, totally is like, yeah, I get it. You're not going to be around for a little bit. I understand, and the trust and everything. I mean, it's got to
yeah,
be
oh,
there.
yeah, yeah, and it's long hours. If you do your due diligence and you do this stuff the way you really should, and you take it serious, it's long hours. It's long hours on the road. It's a lot of travel, and then it's long hours in the going through evidence and documenting and researching, and then it's long hours when you start trying to edit and create content. That opens up a whole nother host of things that you need to factor in as well.
Right.
So yeah, for sure, you got to
Yeah,
have
I
that
forgot about
support.
that part. I forgot about the listening. I'm like a glutton because I have like 5 recorders. I put them all on, I leave them all on. So I don't just have 5 hours to listen to. I have
No,
15 hours to listen to.
absolutely, yeah, and that's the thing, and you got to go back and then you got to double check and triple check and quadruple check, and
Hmm.
that's all part of it. And my team, as you know, Taryn, we are a little different. We work a little bit different than a lot of teams. And what I mean by that is we work very heavily on the psychic medium side, but we also balance that very equally with equipment and tech and scientific method, or as scientific as it can be. I actually don't like to use the term scientific when we talk about paranormal, and the reason is because we can't really take a ghost and put it in a box and study it. So we can't create that same environment like a lab and do it over and over and over with the same control and the same settings because it doesn't happen that way.
Right.
Paranormal activity happens when it happens, and you have to do your best. But that doesn't mean you can't be methodical. So I think that's the important part. That's where you can check those boxes and really put a methodology to what you're doing to help validate the evidence that you're gathering.
Absolutely. I do. Yeah. I mean, I know, I remember investigating with you. Now, I'm not a big equipment person, but I never saw some of the methods that you guys did. So that was a new experience. I was very open and welcome to it. And, I tried it, I thought it was cool, and had some experiences.
Yes, you did. And that's the thing, right? I mean, I think that's the biggest thing before we get into the documentary, because I do want to really kind of
Yeah.
spin you up on that. But before we get into that, this is like, for me, a big thing. You hear so many people talk about para unity, and not everybody lives that. I think a lot more
Mhm.
people talk it and they like it because it's a really cool hashtag. But living that is doing what we do. When I
Right.
mean like you and I, we
Right.
collab, we talk, we learn from each other, we support each other, we share each other's content, and we learn from each other, and that's what paranormal unity is. It is building each other up, and by doing that and dropping ego, we elevate this community, and that's the
Absolutely.
only way we're ever going to move the needle forward, is if we drop ego and focus on our real job, which is being the voice of spirit. That's what we're here for. Our job is to bring those messages over, validate that history, and prove that existence. So that's our job, and that's why you should always be respectful to the living and the dead. And
Right. Right.
that's sort of how that works.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, I myself, I think that I've had I've had so many experiences actually, whether it be physical, visual, emotional, um, uh, captured one apparition, since I've been doing all this, my EVPs. For me, I I honestly am not in this to prove it to anybody. If
Absolutely.
I'm in it because I believe it already, right? So I'm not in it to prove it to anybody. So the hardcore skeptics don't bother me. I
No.
actually, because I'm so um, not versed in technology and all this and that, I actually do consult with skeptics to say, okay,
Sure.
what do you think? Could this be that? Could this be this? There,
Sure.
whatever. Um, However, with that being said, the private houses and the historical places, and why I started the brew. for people like you and my fellow peers. Like I want to get you guys on and
Yeah,
whatever projects you're working on and whatever things you guys are doing to raise money for the historical places. I want it out there. You want to get the word out there.
absolutely.
And I want to take away what I think somebody said it best when they said like the TV has made it gimmicky what we do. TV has given the paranormal such a Ghostbuster
Yeah,
slash Scooby Doo slash, like it's very gimmicky now. So you want to get it out there that this isn't what
yeah,
it's all about. That's not what it's all about.
yeah. And I think it's kind of a two way street on the TV thing. And this is my point with that. I think the reason that we're so mainstream, it's the good and the bad, right? It's the give and the take. It's that double-edged sword. The reason that we're so mainstream and the reason that it is acceptable now, the reason that we can now, get into sites that would never have even entertained that notion back when I first got into this before the
Right.
show. Ghost Hunters was popular, but there wasn't, and Zach Bagans had his show, but that was it. There wasn't 50,000 shows and 50,000 documentaries and 50,000 things going on.
Right.
So I think that has given us mainstreamness. It has given us the ability to at least be able to be more mainstream and more accepted than we once were. So I think it's like anything else. You got to look at the positives and negatives of all of that. So I see the good and the bad, and I'm with you totally. Yeah, I hear the dogs barking too. Um, you know, I think for the skeptics, and I just want to touch on that real quick. Those are just people that haven't opened themselves up to experience. Is really all skeptics are to me, because I was once one, so I can absolutely say that without throwing shade because I came from that camp. Um, but I don't think you're ever going to convince the hardcore skeptic that it's real, no more than you're ever going to convince the hardcore believer that it's not. It's sort of
Exactly.
it's sort of the atheist and the priest having a conversation. It's pointless because they're both so entrenched in their belief systems. It really doesn't matter. I'm a believer, obviously, with the experiences and things I've done. I'm starting to develop my own abilities, tapping into my own mediumship ability and those things. So my belief has grown more and more and more. But I still always try to debunk and find earthly explanations for everything that we're encountering, because I think that's part of your due diligence. It's, you may know, but you still need to validate that. That's a very
Sure.
important part of what we do.
Yep. But my favorite thing, to say is I have more evidence that something out there exists than a skeptic
Yes,
has that it doesn't.
exactly. Yep.
So, you know, I love what we do. I love what we do. The people that are real and legit. And I agree with you with the shows. Like the first, like when Ghost Hunters first came out, awesome. I loved them. I love them now. I think they still are
Yeah.
doing, because now they're back to doing private homes and stuff, and
Right.
helping people, which is what I miss so much. But they're back to helping private homes. So to
Right.
me, the show is kind of worth like seeing how they handle clients
Yeah.
as opposed to seeing how, and forgive me if ever anybody likes this show. I don't mean to, but I'm going to use it as an example. You look at Ghost Hunters and how they help the client, and then you look at Dead Files and how they help the client. It's two totally different things,
Yeah.
and I don't agree with Dead
Yeah.
Files. I agree with how Ghost
Yeah.
Hunters. So, but it is entertainment. It's entertainment.
Yep.
Things are going to be exaggerated. Things are going to be put in to make it exciting.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Because if they watch,
Or
yeah,
over dramatized or whatever in some cases. And I'm okay with that as long as you're not faking evidence. I mean, if you're faking evidence, I have an issue. And that goes for YouTube, because honestly, I mean, I can get on YouTube and there are things on YouTube that I see that is passed off as paranormal content that absolutely makes my blood boil, because it is just so wrongly done. And really is just a travesty to be called research or paranormal research. And again, I'm not trying to throw shade at people. I'm just stating my opinion of how I view certain content. And everybody likes their different things, and that's all cool.
yeah,
I have absolutely no problem with any of that. I'm just saying for myself, the content that I consume, I prefer to be, as long as I know it's valid. There's stuff I've seen that has definitely been fake, and that I think drags the whole community down as a whole. But anyhow, so that kind of leads into what we're about to talk about, which is
yeah,
documentary. So this
yeah.
is a very good point to make here. This kind of segues directly into this. So the film, the project, we
Yes.
have been creating content ourselves. Now, it's never been a driving force of what we do. We do a lot of education, we do a lot of residential work, we do a lot of public investigations where we bring the public out. Like this year, we've already had, like, even despite the pandemic, we in Tennessee, we've been blessed. We've been more open than some other states. We've been able to host public events even with smaller numbers. Since pretty much the end of last year. And we've had 6 nights that we've sold out this year. We've got 3 more coming up that are already sold out. So we do a lot of that. That's a lot of what we do. And it's educating people on the paranormal. It's educating people on the history of these locations. And then it's bringing them in and, seeing if they have an experience. And if they do, great. If they don't, but like we always tell them, look, this isn't Dollywood. We can't promise you anything. We may spend the next 5 hours talking to thin air, or we may have the best night we've ever had. And it's anywhere in between, right? So that's a lot of what we've always done. We've created content in the last couple of years and started putting some stuff out on YouTube and putting content out on our Facebook. We do a weekly show. We're taking time off right now because we are so busy. But Taryn, you've been on several times with us over on our show, The Gathering. It actually
Yes.
launched out of necessity during COVID. That's where our drive and focus has always kind of been, in those type of arenas, but we have pushed some content out. And I enjoy putting out that content, but again, that was never the driving force of things, but it is something we started doing more and more of, because I
Right.
want to put quality content out that people can see how we do things. I'm not saying that it's the right way or the only way, but it's what works for us. It's what's effective for SRS Paranormal. So that's how we kind of started doing more and more of that content driven stuff. But when this project came for the documentary, when this came up for Field of Fears, um, this was a passion project of mine personally. The team got completely behind it and became a passion project of theirs. But this was really something I wanted to do, because I want to show people the other side of things. I want to show people the unique way that we work, and I wanted to show people, more importantly, the story of Randolph County Asylum. The true story of the place, that there isn't a demon in every corner, that just because a place has history does not mean that it is crawling with horrible evilness, that
Sure.
that there's energy there, and tell that true story and show people its history, and be the voice of those that have passed, that still linger, that still roam those halls. And how that came about is, back in the fall, the team had the opportunity to go to Randolph County Asylum, and I couldn't go. I had some personal stuff going on. I wasn't able to go, and I was really bummed out because it was literally the first road trip that I've ever missed, and I couldn't go with the team. They came back and they talked about how incredible and amazing this place was, and how, of all these places we've gone all over the country, it's really unique. It had this really crazy unique energy, and there were so many layers and so much history. Well, I kind of became sort of obsessed with it anyway before that, because it had been a bucket list place I wanted to go to. So I had read about its history and looked into a lot of it, and it's always called me. Well, when they came back and talked about how great it was, and I heard their experiences and read through the experience files, because my team always writes out experience files and they do reports. Even if we go to famous locations, we document and do a full report, just like we would for a location we've never been. We weigh the history, but we go by our experiences and what we get through our process and through our methods. So when I read through their experience files, I was like, man, this place is different. This place is unique. Well, we had already been collaborating with J.W. Prather, and if you're not familiar with him, I know you've met him, Taryn. He's been on the show. He was on with me last time I came on. He builds equipment. He builds spirit boxes, but they're not your typical spirit box. They're very different. They scan a lot more frequencies. They don't lock in hard on radio channels. Some of his equipment doesn't even have antennas. You are the spiritual antenna that actually drives that energy and helps bridge that connection with spirit. His stuff has been featured on numerous paranormal shows, both in the States and the UK. We did a thing on our show, The Gathering, where we linked our home haunt, the Nickerson Sneed, and the Conjuring House. And we did an experiment where we started spirit communication in one place and got answers in another place. And we were blown away by that, because it was like, wow, how are we getting answers completely across 2 different places in the same amount of time? Well, through talking with Jay and collaborating and building that friendship, we started talking about doing some other stuff. Well, the team was talking about going back to Randolph County, and we had Sky Ray in, Medium Sky Ray. She was on here a few minutes ago and said hi. She's on your show as well. She had come down and worked with us a few times. So we were already planning on having her just join us to go back to RCA to just investigate and have a good time. Well, then I invited Jay, and Jay and I got to talk, and he's like, well, man, maybe we can do some lives or something from there. Well, that planted a little seed in here. And the next thing you know, it turned into let's do it. Let's do a documentary.
Right.
But we
Right.
didn't but we didn't want to do just another, and I'm not saying anything bad about thousands of documentaries that are on YouTube, because there's some fantastic ones out there. I know some other teams that have put out some great stuff, but that's not what we wanted for this project. We didn't want it to be just like we our normal content that we shoot for YouTube. We wanted to do something on a much bigger scale. We wanted to do something where we would really have the quality audio and the quality video and the quality control to make sure that what we were going to do was really documented and controlled the way it needed to be. And that led to talking to Jay about some experiments we could do with his equipment. So long story short, we decided to wire up all 58,000 square foot of Randolph County Asylum with his equipment, both with spirit box capabilities and without. So we could literally monitor every inch of that building in real time for live spirit communication when we were doing controlled experiments. I mean, we literally would know if a mouse farted on the second floor. We would know that. I mean, it was crazy how sensitive it was. And each station that we had set up in each area had sound meter capability. So we would know if the sound was coming from in that room, if it was coming from in the hallway, we could pinpoint where it was coming from. And by controlling the environment and knowing where every investigator was, knowing where the film crew was, knowing where everything was, we were literally able to control every bit of it and really keep those checks and balances. And all that was being fed back into Jay's control room. And Jay was then able to, analyze that in real time and record all that in real time. So that's how we kind of used the equipment side to do that. So we did some really wild stuff. We did a 58,000 square foot seance. We did a seance in the attic. We connected. Rhonda was leading the circle, and her voice went out into the building and filled the entire building, and basically created probably one of the world's largest seances. Then we followed that up with Medium Sky Ray leading a spirit circle. And this time we used her energy and actually pushed our energy from the table and her energy into the equipment and pushed that through all 58,000 square feet. And we're getting responses throughout the entire building.
That's insane.
So we were doing stuff on a scope and scale that has never been attempted. It was crazy because we were literally making paranormal history just by trying to do these experiments.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that's all.
Yes, the attic is absolutely wicked there. I'll tell some stories about that in a minute.
Yeah. So all that is on this documentary.
Yes.
I'd love to, my friend, my Peach. This is one of my Peaches. She said she'd love to go there.
It's an incredible location.
We should go.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, so here's the crazy thing. So yes, she was a big part of that documentary and a big part of that process. Yeah. So I'll back up a little bit and kind of fill in a couple other little blanks. I wanted to kind of broad stroke that. But so when we had this idea and I started actually drawing out what I wanted this to look like and kind of what I wanted to try and accomplish, it was clear that we needed to bring in some additional people. And so that's where bringing in, we were already going to bring in Jay and Sky. And then Jay suggested we bring in Justin Spurrier from Spurrier Paranormal, veteran researcher. He's got some really crazy, unique ideas. So what we wanted to do was SRS Paranormal would be one part of that. Sky would be another part of that. Jay would be another part of that. Justin would be another part of that. And we all come together, bringing all of our unique skill sets and our specialties into the mix to do what has not been, had not been done before. So when we had this idea, we talked to some TV people, some producers that we knew, because we wanted to get professional video. We wanted to get professional audio. There was not enough time to do this. There wasn't enough time for them to be able to lead time to get everything together and greenlight a project on this scale. So two things, we ran into two big problems. First was funding, because it's not cheap to do a project on this scale, on this size. It's expensive to do what we wanted to do. So it was like, okay, what are we going to do? You know what? we'll start a GoFundMe. So we started a GoFundMe and we raised some funds, which helped us get some of the equipment we needed. We were still considerably short on funds. So a couple of us kind of looked at each other, myself, Rhonda, Kevin, we looked at each other and we're like, you know what? We want to make this project happen. We're going to make this project happen. So we launched a production company. Why not? So why not? Right? Why?
We done that. That's awesome. You know what? Fuck it. We don't have anybody. Let's just do it.
We'll just do it. The hell with it. I don't know what I'm doing, but we'll just make it happen. So, we were doing a project on a scope and scale. We couldn't do what we knew how to do. We couldn't go easy. We had to go on a scale that we'd never done. We had
go big or go home. That's where it comes from.
Yeah. And then we launched a production company. So we had to learn how to do that. So it was exciting and fun. It was a challenge because I got to be a director. I got to be an executive producer, and I got to be part of the project. So wore many hats. Rhonda worked as the production manager. Kevin worked as an executive producer and assistant director. And it was crazy. I mean, it was 20 hours, 22-hour days to get it done. And literally, we were there in early March. It is cold as shit in Winchester, Indiana in early March, just so you know.
Wait a minute. I have a question. So if I'm a resident in the town, so in case everybody doesn't know, the man that is also talking to you, I consider a hero. He is a firefighter.
Thank you.
So I thank you for your service to your community. However, if I was living in Tennessee and I'm in the town that you are a firefighter in, and I hear that you're going to be away for a while,
yeah,
I'm going to be a little scared.
Well, thank you.
Be a little worried.
Yeah. So there's like another 119 guys, including Al, that work there. So they're good without me. They don't even know when I'm gone. Honestly, they have no clue. They're like, "Oh, was Sorge off?" They have no idea. So
go big or go home. So anyway, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I just wanted to give you your firefighter recognition and thank you for your service. Yes. But anyways, so
that is my day job.
That is yeah.
And Al's day job.
This is probably your day job too. I'm sure you're
when
always.
I'm off. Yes.
Yeah. Hi, Gina. All right. So you launch a production company.
Yeah.
All right. And then, so how long were you going back and forth?
What do you mean?
I mean, like, how are you, were you just did you just take one, was it all done in one straight time, or were you?
Yeah, no, we showed up and we crammed 5 days of filming into a 2.5-day schedule. That's why the days were so long. Lessons learned. Yeah. Like I said, we'd never done this before. We were just launched the whole thing, and it was crazy. And we were blessed because the film crew we had worked a lot in television and documentary style stuff. So they were able to, when I would say, "This is what I want to do," they'd go, "Well, that's great, but we can't. We got to do it this way because this is the equipment we got." And it's like, okay, so let's do that. So they were great. Chris Edwards and Kyle Heavily were fantastic. They're freelancers out of the Knoxville area, and just pleasure to work with, true pros. And they got into it. They loved it. They hadn't done a whole lot of paranormal production stuff, so they really enjoyed being there.
Brian wants to know, he's from Bearded Paranormal.
I know those guys.
Yeah, he said, when is it due to be released and what platforms?
Yeah, so here's where we are on that. It is still in post-production. We're shooting for June. It's taking a little longer than I would like. I'm doing a big portion of the edit myself, so I'm editing on a level that is new to me. And I'm working with, for example, when you're working with, truly shot professional stuff, you're working with multiple cameras, and I'm working with 5 and 6 different audio streams. So getting that all synced and lined up is a little bit different. But I'm shooting for the end of June, but it may push into early July. Right now, it's probably going to be Amazon Prime, but we are in discussions with a couple of other platforms. That's where it will be initially. And then eventually there'll be a DVD release with it as well. There is a companion, more like a fan fiction piece that's coming with it. So to kind of explain this a little bit, so we had multiple psychic mediums in addition to the main cast that were also there supporting. One of them was the director of photography, Pat O'Keefe. She was our director of photography. She is a professional photographer and author and publisher. Rhonda, our psychic medium, is, yes, editing sucks. Brian, amen, brother. those guys get good money for a reason. I understand why editors charge what they charge to edit. So we have these extra folks there that are talented and gifted in more than one way. So Pat shot a bunch of the photos there for us, and also had experience as a psychic medium herself. So some of those things were actually captured in the documentary as well. Even in some of the recre stuff, she was one of my recreation actors for the Ida Gunkel hanging, which is a suicide that was happened on the property. It's truly, the whole thing is documented. And she was one of the people that we had doing the recreation of that. But she literally channeled Ida during that. Because even when Chris was shooting, now Chris and Kyle do a lot of work filming true crime stuff. So like if you've ever watched like the John Kenna homicide and those type of shows, that's what they film for. So they're used to seeing people fake hangings and fake death and fake these things. And when we were filming this, there's a scene, it's a snippet of it is in the trailer where you see Pat's feet going. When Chris shot that, he turned and looked at me. He said, dude, he said, I've never seen somebody act that so perfectly. He said, I've never seen somebody get their feet right like that. He said, I'm getting cold chills. This is freaking awesome. He was like off the chain with it. I said, you don't understand. She's channeling Ida. So she literally channeled those moments. So it was more of like a real reenactment than it was staging it. Because she was very emotionally drained and had the full experience. It took her a while to kind of recover after channeling her and connecting so strongly with her. But yeah, so all those elements are there, and the fan fiction piece actually goes deeper into the history. It goes into our experiences. It has our experience logs. It's a very photo heavy thing. So there's a lot of really awesome photography work in there that Pat did of just the actual location. And then it has all of our experience logs. So we actually break down, what each of us experienced and different things that happened that may not be in the film or may not make the final edit in the film, but it goes deeper than the film does. So the pieces will go together nicely. And
I literally am so excited for it. I mean, it looks good.
Oh, thank you.
All right, so I want to screen share. This is why I don't even know how to use the Windows Photoshop. So I would never be able to do editing. Just so you guys know, I just can't do it. Yeah, people are saying, "Well, I can't wait to see this." I mean, it's like really. I mean, I can't wait to watch. Yeah,
thank you, guys. Appreciate that.
It really does. It sounds so good. But I want to share screen and do the trailer.
Okay.
So
hopefully we can do this.
Maybe we can do this. All right. So let me see. Do I hit the share screen?
I think we start there.
All right. So share screen.
And StreamYard just actually added this feature recently. So I haven't even had a chance to play with it. I did see that they added it. So we're going to learn together, Taryn, here live, right? Go big or go home.
Right. All right. So do I do entire screen?
I would think so.
Okay. Here we go. Let me see.
We'll try it. We'll see what happens. I promise the audience will tell us if this is wrong.
All right. So I forget how to do it. Hold on. Oh, wait. Do you see it?
I don't see it.
All right. I didn't do it right.
Are we supposed to see it or just?
Oh, wait. Here we go. Wait a minute. Window or entire screen? Share. Hold on, guys. I'm trying to figure it out. What to share. Okay. Oh, wait. Here we go. All right. Now. Oh,
hey,
there's a million.
That's like the Hall of Mirrors thing at the fun house.
All right. Now, what about here? If I do this, now what do you see?
I see it and us.
Do you see? Oh, I did it before. This is so funny. I can't believe I'm. How do I get to it? Oh, wait. I got it.
You got it? Okay.
I think.
Maybe.
Maybe not. Oh, wait. Got it. Who said got it?
Are they seeing it?
Well, oh, shit.
That wasn't right. There we go.
Oh, wait. I got it. Wait. Hit play.
Well, where do you have it?
They're like, hit play.
Yeah. So where's it at?
Hold on.
Okay. Yeah. So your play, there's a little, hit play, and then you probably hit the big screen.
Start slamming.
Can you see it still?
Freaked out down here, and he said he never wants to come back here again.
I think you took it off.
I did?
We're here at Randolph County Asylum in Winchester.
I don't see it. Maybe they do. I don't know. I hear it.
Stories here in the asylum
see
of
it.
rapes being committed. Two gentlemen who didn't show up for breakfast and were found in bed with pillows over their faces, dead.
I hear it.
Over 200 documented deaths.
All right, let's start it over.
The door.
Because I think now I go back. All right.
And I think you've got, like, if you look next to the speaker icon, I think there's a way you can make it bigger screen. I think.
Well, I think right now we see it. You just won't be able to see us for some reason. I don't know.
Doors in this building start slamming. Freaked out down here, and he said he never wants to come back here again.
We're here at Randolph County Asylum in Winchester, Indiana.
Stories here in the asylum of rapes being committed. Two gentlemen who didn't show up for breakfast and were found in bed with pillows over their faces, dead.
Over 200 documented deaths.
I came in, I mean, I felt sick.
Somebody
Can
just
you
ran.
not?
Somebody literally just
Hi.
ran through there.
See him stabbing somebody. And I heard George.
This particular woman is.
I think we're buffering.
I think. Really? Come on.
This particular woman is.
Oh, come on.
And dogs working.
Why is it? And dogs. Oh, yeah. Why is it doing that?
Can't answer that.
They still see us. I don't see you, though, Matt. It's really weird.
But I see you. And me. And it. And the buffering.
You do?
And I hear dogs.
How come
I
don't
do.
see?
I don't know.
I don't understand it. I'm doing something wrong. Why isn't this working? Sorry, guys.
This
I have no
particular
answers.
woman.
Oh.
Why is it getting stuck there?
She took her own life.
That's when I started to realize that these are the kind of buildings I was building my equipment for. Talking about 58,000 square feet. So it's an audio challenge for anyone.
We're going to try to recreate the panic that might have been experienced by the people living here whenever the original building burned to the ground.
Everybody wake up! Wake up! Wake up! Fire! Fire! Fire!
Can I be seated, guys? Touched on the back of my head for a second.
Sticking you and freezing. In the basement.
In the basement.
Randolph County Asylum. The farthest part of the asylum, too.
No, ma'am.
What's your name? Whoever that was just walked up on us. What's your name?
My name's Joe!
That looks so awesome, Matt.
Thank you. We're excited about it. We're really excited about it. It's a real pleasure to do the project. It was, being blessed to work with such absolutely, amazing professionals that they showed up every day. Thank you, guys. I appreciate the kind words. They showed up every day. They really put the time in. It was cold. It was miserable. When we were in the asylum portion, the front was heated. So we had this. Thank you, guys. I really am humbled by the fantastic comments. But it was miserable. I mean, we had this heated area up front that we could escape to, but for some of us, like myself, I was always stuck in the back. It never got above like 18, 19 degrees in that building for your sky. Yeah, we froze. I mean, at
I
one point
wouldn't
I
have
had like
made it.
6 layers on, and it's like it's just absolutely crazy. And that place takes on such a different atmosphere when the sun goes down. It's thank you guys. It just takes on this whole different aura. It has a different energy and a different life at night. It's an incredible location. Anybody that's in the paranormal, you need to go there and check it out. You need to spend some time at Randolph County. And a big part I want to mention about this, Dan Allen, the guy that owns it, he owns 4 other properties. He runs an organization called Stop. It's Save the Old Properties. It's a nonprofit. And part of what we're trying to do with this documentary is also raise awareness for what he's trying to do. And that's keep these projects alive. They have a Patreon. 100% of that Patreon funds goes to those properties. He's not in it to get rich. He is in it to save the history.
See,
He allows the paranormal because he believes that there is something out there, and it's a way to help, generate exposure and funds. All of his locations are amazing. Stone Mansion's another one that my team's actually visited. But, check out Dan's stuff, support Stop, Save the Old Properties.org, I believe it is. Because
oh my gosh, when do you think he would come on the Brew?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, Dan, for sure.
Oh my
He's been
gosh.
on our show.
Oh my gosh, I got to meet you. Can you do the introduction? I want to have him on.
I will. I will put you in touch with Dan. Dan is a fantastic guy. Tim,
Yeah.
if not, he'll bring Tim Murphy with him. Tim is
Yeah.
one of his staff. Tim's actually featured in the trailer there. He is a great guy. He's funny. He's got a great personality. I had as much fun just talking with Tim as I did, interviewing him for documentary. So, this isn't all just about the paranormal side. A lot of this film is also about that history. And one of the things that captivated me about not just that place, but you think about this, there was a time in our history and society when if you were different, if you were a little simple, or if you had a speech impediment, or if your parents were tragically killed in a car accident when you were 11 years old, you were too old to be adopted. So counties were required by legislation to have places called poorhouses to send people, or county homes. So literally all across America, thousands and thousands of times, these same stories played out. People ended up becoming wards of the state and put in facilities like this. And people think of asylums, they think of lunatic asylums. It's not what these places were. But they weren't all bad stories. Sometimes these people were escaping, things far worse, and it was a safe refuge. So it's a mix of both. There's the tragedy and there's the salvation. It's all of that, and that's what we wanted to do, was tell that story, not just about Randolph County, but about a time in American history when that's just, if you were different, society looked at you slightly different. You could end up spending your life in a place like that. Doris Addington's another one that we talk about in the documentary a little bit. She was committed there at age 11 when her parents were killed in a car wreck. She was too old to be adopted. She ended up there. She lived there till she was 84 years old. She never knew a family or a life outside of Randolph County Asylum.
Oh my gosh, it's crazy.
Yeah.
And she was like, so she was perfectly normal.
Yeah, perfectly normal. She just didn't have anybody else, and since she spent her whole life there, she actually the community got to know her very well. She would go to church in the community and come back and live there. It was actually an active location. It was actually used until 2008. It did become a private residence. I can't remember, late 90s to somewhere around the mid 2000s. So yeah, it's a unique thing, and it's an icon of a part of our history that literally this is how it was in every county across America. So that's what we wanted to do. We wanted to create something that was telling that story, telling the paranormal side, doing stuff that people hadn't seen before, and really, showing people a different side of paranormal and a different side of these places. It's not all about what's scary, and it's not all about, demons. It's about telling, like I said, being the voice from the shadows of the spirits that still linger there, and telling the history of the place itself is, to me, our job as paranormal researchers.
Absolutely. I say it all the time in almost probably every show. how much like I love being a part of the events that raise the money for the historical places, like
Yep.
you try to preserve. I love to see, like Penhurst is a big one, that, I help out at events and, go there very often. And, when you see a new roof go on one of the buildings,
Yeah.
you're part of that. And that makes you
Yep.
feel so good, where you're like, yes, or Selma Mansion, all the money that you help to
Absolutely.
raise for Selma Mansion, and places like that where you're just, and you're seeing your hard work and dedication and your passion actually, right, being built right there,
Yeah,
Um,
that's actually why we started doing the public investigations.
yeah,
Because and that's why I think they've become so popular in our location. We've got several state sites. We're the only team that is allowed to investigate those. We're the only ones that have access to them. We've earned that through our reputation and our credibility, obviously. But what is so wonderful for us about that is, like, take the Deer Inn, for example, one of the locations that we investigate regularly. Through our historian, he helps us, make these connections with these historic sites, as he is our historian. He's also the co-director of the Tipton Haynes, which is another site that we frequently do publics at. But using the Deer Inn as a perfect example, it is not a state-owned site. The county actually owns it. And they have a very small budget. So when we do 4 publics a year there, we raise more money in ticket sales by doing the paranormal public events there than we match or exceed what they get from the county for the entire year
that's
in the 4
awesome.
nights that we come in. So we're almost doubling or more than doubling their operating budget by sharing that location and its history with people.
That's awesome.
And so that's what I think it's all about. And that's the kind of stuff we should be doing.
Absolutely. And I have said this before, but I had a family member in Penhurst. He was a resident there from the time he was a little boy all the way up
Yeah,
until
I
he was
remember this.
18.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, he was a resident there. Kerper, last name, so it's in the books. Kerper's in the books over there. But yeah, and he was there until he was 18, and then they moved him to Hamburg State Hospital. But he, was like what you said. I mean, if back then that's what you did. I mean, even
Yeah.
women that had postpartum
Yes.
depression would go into these places,
Speech
all kinds of
impediments.
stuff. Yeah, yeah.
Hmm. Yeah.
It's crazy
And
to think that 11 is too old to be adopted even,
yeah,
and not to be able to, you know, it's just,
it's sad. I mean,
yeah,
and like I said, it's kind of a double-edged sword, because yes, there were some bad people and bad things that happened in these places, and it's always going to be the case, because
yeah,
that's in every walk in life. Bad things happen in hospitals, prisons. I mean, it's everywhere. There's always going to be that balance of things, but in some cases, as much as it may have been a tragedy to become a ward of the state, in other circumstances, some of these people literally had a fate far worse outside
if
those
they didn't,
walls
right.
if they didn't end up there. So it really was it's a complicated, complex scenario. A couple of things. Somebody had mentioned the attic being a very
Yes.
creepy place there. Yes, I will tell a couple of quick stories while we're on here about our experiences. I don't know when we get the final cut. You only have so much time. I mean, we have literally. You was talking about this earlier about having 5 recorders. Well, we had, in some cases, let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4. We had maybe 8 or 10 cameras rolling in different spots. More than that. At one point, I think we had like 15 or 20 cameras out between Jay's system and our drop cameras, the professional crew with their cameras, us running cameras as well. I mean, so all of that is audio and video that has to be reviewed and looked at. So in the couple of days that we filmed that we were there, we literally have several hundred hours of audio and video between everything.
Oh,
When
that's
you
cool.
put it all together, because like in Jay's system, each of those satellite locations is a separate audio track and a separate audio file. Each camera, like with the professional audio guys, we had 5 or 6 audio tracks. So, now you got to magnify that out and go through all that and try to piece all that together. Plus, Justin had equipment running and cameras running for some of the stuff that we were doing. So that takes time too, to pour through all that. So you can't put it all in there. You got to get it down into a linear story that people will watch, because not everybody that's going to watch understands that intricacy of the paranormal. Not everybody understands the passion for those things. So you got to tell a story. There's people that have never seen, and when I say tell a story, I'm saying put it all in something that just doesn't look like a bunch of clips thrown up there that would make no sense. You have to have a start and a middle and an end, and
Right.
there's going to be people that are going to see this that have never been to Randolph County Asylum, don't know anything about it, maybe never even have investigated. So you have to find a way to put all that together in a package that will appeal to as many people as you can. And that's where the challenge comes, from the filmmaking side and from the editing side, putting that together. So it's hard to do that because you know this from being in the field as a paranormal investigator. I can show you a clip of something, and if you weren't standing in that room, feeling that energy, having that connection, feeling that empathic feelings that sometimes some of us have, it will never be the same as it is for those of us in that room. So
Exactly.
getting that to convey to film is definitely a challenge. But
But that's the same thing with everything. I mean, I go to Gettysburg, I take thousands of pictures, right? And when I'm sitting and I'm looking at what I'm photographing,
it's amazing, breathtaking.
yeah, and you can't put that on film. You can't
No.
put that in a picture. Like I say
Can't
all
feel
the
it.
time, Rob laughs at me. I'm like, I wish I could just like create a bubble and like put this exact moment in that bubble and just have my friends come over and be like, here, step in. This is why I love Gettysburg. Shut the
Right.
door.
Yep.
And then just have them experience it for like 5 seconds and see,
Yeah.
so I totally agree with you. I mean, I always talk about Penhurst because I've been there so much, and the Rockwell Tunnel. I mean, everybody has their favorite spot, at Penhurst, but Rockwell, every time I go in there, I am literally, connecting with something every single time,
Right.
And I mean, I'll bring down groups because I'll go there during events. So bring down, public groups. I'll have a
Yeah.
group of 10 to 20 people, and we're sitting there, everybody's real quiet, and there's a breath that just goes down the center of everybody. You know what I mean? Or they talk, it's just so active when you have a place like that. And I do find that if you go there more and more and more, I feel like the energy kind of like
Yes.
is familiar,
Yes.
so I
Yes.
feel
Oh,
like they're a
absolutely.
little more, they come out a little bit more and more and more as the time goes on, once they
Yeah.
get to know that, okay, they're here to help, they're here to help us.
Yeah,
Um,
and you're absolutely right. And funny you mentioned about photography because that's one of my weird hobbies. I'm an amateur photographer. But like I went out west several years back and I took some pictures of the Grand Canyon. And if you ever stood at the rim of the Grand
oh my
Canyon,
goodness.
it is a breathtaking.
It took my breath away.
Yeah, you can't fathom
You
the
can't.
scale, the size, the colors, the mass of it. And then I took all these pictures and I was so excited. And this was
Yep.
right before digital was popular. I'm dating myself here again. And we got the pictures back from the 1 hour photo. And I'm like, what's this crap? What is this? This is not what I saw. This is not it, So yeah,
But even the
that's
stuff you see on
a
TV
challenge.
of the Grand Canyon, and even the stuff like all the
Yeah.
professional photo books and photos, like
Nope.
I
Doesn't do it justice.
the first time I stepped up and I saw, I was like, holy, like it literally took my breath away.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe it. I tried telling my boyfriend all the time, like, you've never been there. You have to go. I mean, it
Yeah.
is, you can't even imagine. Like, that's
Nope.
probably my second favorite place other than Gettysburg, to
It's
be
just,
honest.
yeah. And,
I
and
mean,
that's what's so such a challenge is and then you try to explain it to people and they're like, well, show me a picture. You don't understand. The picture will do it justice. And I think that is kind of goes along with what we're talking about though, even with the paranormal. And I think this is some of the problem even on the television side of things. There are experiences that happen that you just cannot convey in a film clip, a TV clip, even an audio recording. Those
absolutely.
elements just aren't there and they're never going to be. So sometimes people go, well, that's so dumb. I didn't see anything happen on the screen just then. Well, just because you didn't see it happen doesn't mean that it didn't happen,
Right.
because anybody that's done this any length of time knows that there are experiences that we feel and things we even see. I've had it. I've done it. I've seen a shadow figure plain as day walk down a hall towards me, In fact, we had an experience at the asylum very similar to this same type of thing. And I'm looking down at my IR camera, filming in IR, and it's not on the screen, but damn it, I'm seeing it with my own eyes, and
So
three other
crazy.
people are seeing it. So, or audio, you hear something, oh my gosh, we just heard a disembodied voice. Go back, and it's not on the audio. I don't know why that phenomena happens, but it does happen, and it's insane. But we were blessed a couple of times, and I'm not going to give too much away, but we were blessed a couple of times during the filming. One is a little snippet is in that trailer. Sky and I were up in the attic. We were doing her psychic walkthrough. And for the psychic walkthroughs, they know nothing. They don't know any of the history. We don't tell them anything. We bring them in cold, and they get what they get. And that's the beauty of it, because that's how we validate what they're experiencing. It's how we validate, that whole process. Well, while we were up there, we'd gone up into the attic, and we had a couple of moments. There's another one I'm not going to talk about right now, but I'll talk about this one. We go up to the attic, and she's saying that there's these children that play up here, and I'm seeing them right now. There's these couple of boys, and there are these three boys and this girl, and they run around here, and they play hide and go seek up here. And she said, yeah, and she's talking about her connection with these kids. And you could feel it. You could feel that energy. And right before we started shooting the scene, they were sitting still finalizing some audio checks. I felt something tug on my shirt. And I looked down, and I didn't see nothing. So I kind of dismissed it. And she's talking about these kids. Well, I didn't say anything to her about that. And she's talking about the kids. And while we're filming, we hear this absolute crazy footsteps. It's like something ran through the section right next to us. I mean, we couldn't have planned it better. And I look at her, and she looks at me, and we look at the film crew, and it was like, holy cow, did you guys hear that? Did you guys hear those footsteps? And the film crew is all shaking their heads because they don't want to talk and contaminate the shot. So they're going, yeah. So
Right.
when we finished the segment there of going through the attic, when we cut to go to the other side of the attic, we stopped, and our audio guy played back the file. He's like, dude, we got it. And not only did we get it, but listen to this. So I put the headphones on, and I hear the audible footsteps that we heard ourselves. We hear it on tape, and we hear a giggle. There's a little girl that giggles that we did not hear in real time that actually occurred when it comes to life. It's all, yes, absolutely. That's 100% true. Yes. So we captured not only the footsteps, but we captured the giggle of the little girl. So to me, to have that happen when we were, filming just the psychic walkthrough part,
Oh, I bet it sounds so cool. Did you
was
guys get
amazing.
it?
Yeah. I actually got to listen to it right then and there. And then after we finished shooting that section up top, we finished Sky's run through before we moved on to the next thing that we were going to be filming. The audio guy was running around between other stuff, showing everybody, hey, listen to this, because he was so blown away by having that paranormal experience, because he heard it with his own ears.
Yeah.
And he saw what we captured, and he knew that it was real and happened in real time in
Right.
his presence. So he was blown away, and we tried every way in our way to figure out what it was, but it's clearly what it was. And she connected with it. So we had a psychic having that connection. We heard it with our own ears, and then we captured the evidence that completely supported it. So it was crazy. The attic is a very interesting spot. There's a lot of claims, a lot of things that happens there. Something on the other side, yes, everything got drained. All the battery, all the equipment got drained. The camera guys had to swap stuff out. We had a huge dump of energy drain. Went over to the other side. Sky starts connecting with this male energy. It starts affecting me. Then it starts affecting her. Actually affected our camera guy a little bit for a moment there. And that same energy affected us 2 other times. We didn't realize it while we were there, but going back and watching the stuff in post, there were 2 other periods where in the exact same general area, the exact same things happened to other investigators. So that really correlates that and lines that up with the experiences that we were having. It was just all the way around. It was a fantastic experience.
That's awesome. And I'm so happy for you and everybody that's a part of this. You know
Thank
what I
you.
mean? Like, I really do think this is going to be awesome. And I mean, I cannot wait. I can't wait to see it. And so I'm like really, really looking forward to watching it. There's been a lot of documentaries that have come out, and I'm always like, yeah, I'm going to see it, but I never do. But this one, I'm going to make sure I do see.
Well, thank you.
Because one, I love you, and I know
Well,
how you
thank you.
work, and I've worked with you, and I know that.
You know, it's going to be real. It's legit.
Yeah,
You
I
know who
know
we
that
are.
you
Yeah.
guys aren't. I know you guys aren't. Ones to for sure. I mean, how about when we were? It's funny you're talking about because EVPs are my favorite thing.
I know.
I love EVPs. I mean, I can't. Those are my favorite. But I also can hear, and I don't hear all the time. But most of the
No.
stuff that I
You're
hear,
clairaudient. Yep.
yeah. So, but most of the stuff I hear with my ear, I do get on record. It's validation for me, I think, and I think it
Absolutely.
makes me a little bit more confident in the things that I do actually hear.
Yes.
But I'm going to bring up something really quick. When we did Wildwood Sanitarium, and
Mhm.
remember we were all sitting there and we
Mhm.
were watching. I think Kevin had. We were watching something on the SRS or something like that,
The
and
SLS cameo.
and I said SRS. Did you hear me?
Yeah. That's all right.
um, but and we were sitting there, and all of a sudden we hear this breath or this
Mhm.
sigh, and we all were like, "Did you guys just hear that?" Like nobody
Yeah.
did it. We all were like, we
No.
all collectively heard it.
And we all were talking about how the room changed. Remember, we were talking
Yeah,
like, man, it was getting really uncomfortable down in there. So to set the stage, we're down in the basement of
yeah.
Wildwood Sanatorium, which is where they actually would put people in this giant tub and do these electroshock therapy experiments on these people. And we were down there when that happened, but we were talking about the change in that energy, and it was crazy. It was, yeah. And that's also when you channeled, and I know you sit there and think that, yeah, whatever, but you did. Everybody was talking about how your personality changed, and you did. Your mannerisms and everything changed when we were doing that
I know
experiment
you
with you
guys.
in the tub.
Yeah, and you guys said that, and
Yeah,
then
even Beth was like, "Oh my God, she's channeling," and we're like, "Yeah,
yeah, never. I don't think I've ever done that before, and I don't think I've ever
no,
done that after. I don't think that's ever happened to me. And it's funny because, not only is the Brew where I'm streaming on Paranormal Brew, but also on YouTube. And then I also started to stream on another platform. It's called BB3 TV.
Mhm.
So one of the guys that started BB3 TV was actually one of our all-nighters that night at Wildwood Sanitarium.
Really,
Yes, and that is how me and him started to like really talk, because he always talks about me in the bathtub. That's like his favorite thing. It's like his favorite thing that he
yeah,
remembers is that whole bathroom thing, you
yeah."
know? Um,
It's watching you change, and that's the thing about that experiment, the Estes method. And I know there, and listen, people have theories or feelings on all these different methods and pieces of equipment. I'm going to give my simple advice on that. Try it for yourself. Figure out what works for you and what doesn't work. Do your due diligence, and don't worry about who likes a piece of equipment and who don't. Try
right.
it for yourself. I mean, seriously, there are pieces of equipment that some people love that I don't think are worth your time and effort. Then there's other pieces that people trash that there you got to weigh the good with the bad, and that goes with anything, and even for EVP. I know how much you love EVP, but we can have false positives on EVP too if we're not careful.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
nothing is fail, nothing is foolproof, right? So, but setting the stage for that little discussion about the Estes method, I love it because I think, especially for somebody that's starting to come into my own abilities a little bit, I really think that when you put somebody in that deprivative state where they can't see, they can't hear, they're only focused on that droning white noise sound, because the particular box we're using with you that night actually has no antennas, it's strictly just white noise. It can pick up a short range frequency, but it's mainly just the static of the white noise. You kind of get it's almost like a trance state, right? You kind of get in
Yes,
this and you zone out, and that opens you up, and it
totally.
allows you to connect with spirit, and it allows you to, in some cases, especially if you're gifted or opened at all, to channel. And that's
Yeah.
exactly what you did. So it's a way that you got to be careful because bad things can happen, but it's a way that you can actually experience what mediums do to some degree when they channel, and that's
So
exactly
true.
what you did that night.
Well,
I
and
mean,
and that,
even your mannerisms, like the way you were doing your hands, and it was
yeah, I
like
don't
you were
like
not you.
that. That's not me.
It was like, that is not Taryn right now.
Yeah, no, and the crazy thing, I don't remember. I don't remember
Exactly.
and I'm not lying. You know what I mean? If I remembered it, I
No.
would say it. But
And
like
that's
when I
common. And that's common with that experiment. And if you ask mediums that channel, they often do not remember that. Even as you're getting stuff from spirit, you often don't remember the things that you say.
right.
So that's more proof to me that you were definitely in a trance channeling state.
Yeah, it was definitely an interesting, and that's how I explain to people when I tell people like I've done that. I say, you listen to that long enough. Having ADD, it's very hard for me to try to like meditate and concentrate, because my brain can't stay still long enough to get into the part of it where you have to like kind of relax and just listen,
Yeah.
just focus. So that actually,
You're like balancing the checkbook, ordering
yeah, oh
wine,
yeah, in my head it's
going to
like, okay, wait.
Gettysburg. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah, through my head, I'm just like, okay, what? Okay, there's 1,000 things going through my brain, but that helped. Like, that's all I focused, like, because that's all I heard.
Right.
So the concept behind it is actually really good because I'm not seeing anything, so I'm not like paying attention to any. Like I'm not and I'm a very visual person, so if I can't see something, that shuts down half my ADD. And then if I have my head covered and I'm just hearing this like you kind of just
Nope.
automatically go there.
Yeah.
So it's interesting for me for sure.
Yeah. And that's what we love to do as far as my type of research, the team's type of research, the people we
Ha
like
ha
to.
ha.
That could be true too, I guess. That's definitely a possibility. Um, but we like to do different things like that. We really like to push the edge. We like to take an experiment like that and how can we take it further? How can we push our limits? How can we push ourselves? Because I don't think in the paranormal field, if we don't try to step outside our comfort zone, if we don't push that envelope, we're not going to discover new things. We're not
Right.
going to move that needle forward. Discovery lives on that edge, and that's where you got to go to get that stuff. And sometimes it's an epic failure, and other times it's that aha moment. And you can't be afraid of that. You just got to step out there and go for it. Case in point, like one of Jay's devices is called the direct link. So when I was telling you about that, you actually we talked about last time we were on your show, your finger completes the circuit. So you're introducing your energy. So think of it sort of like a digital Ouija board or a pendulum or dowsing rods, sort of the same concept. So we've been experimenting with taking that device. We actually did it while we were up there as well. And taking a copper bracelet, wiring a seance circle directly into the box. So now you're taking everybody's energies connected, you're putting it into that copper bracelet, and then you're pushing that energy directly into the device. And you'd be surprised at how different the things start to happen when you start doing these type of experiments, and then you're getting environmental data points too. That's where we throw the science in, right? We bring the EDI in. So we're watching humidity, we're watching temperature, we're watching EMF, we're watching vibration. We're documenting all of those things before, after, and during, and comparing them to the experiences, which is cross-validating what's happening. That's the type of research that we live for and we like to do. So like I said, we're a little different, but we have a good time, as you well know.
You do? Yeah.
We've spent time together.
Yes, I want to have a good time. I'm going to roll my ass down to Tennessee.
You better.
But we have to have an off night so that I can have some real moonshine.
We can make that happen.
I want to have real moonshine.
Hypothetically, we can make that happen.
So we have to have like one night where we're just kind of hanging out, and then the rest of the time we can do whatever. But I have to have a moonshine night.
Absolutely. No, definitely. We got to get together and do something, whether it's on the road or it's here or up by you, but we got to get the group together. It's been way too long. It's been almost, I guess, going on 2 years since we did a lot of it, huh?
Really? Yeah. And Gettysburg, I'm telling you. So I don't know how many people you would be able to get to come, but there's a farmhouse that you can actually rent in the park.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And I think it sleeps about 10, minimum 2-night stay.
Awesome.
And, yeah. So I think that's minimum. So, but there's also I don't know if it's not in the park though, I don't think, but, Dobbin's house has a a farmhouse, and you could. We're not going to be there a week, but I'd have to look into that because I feel like that said that you had to rent it for a week. I don't know. Anyways, the Bushman Farm is one of what I was talking about originally. I just have to look up what the prices are in season and then out of season.
Right.
Out of season would
Yeah.
be after October. So it would, depending on whenever you guys want to go. If you want to go in the summer, which I recommend any time of the year. I've been there
Right.
for
Yeah.
all of it. However,
Yeah.
a lot of people like to go when it's summertime because there's so much more going on. Well, there's
Yeah.
always stuff going on there, but
It's Gettysburg, though. The history. Do you need more?
yeah, it's amazing.
I mean,
It really is. So we
I'm
could go
saying. So,
anytime. It really is. So
absolutely.
we'll have to talk about that.
Definitely.
Oh, she made apple moonshine.
Apple pie moonshine is probably one of my favorites of all of them. And not that I've ever had a lot of moonshine, but maybe I've had some. But yes, it's absolutely my favorite. I don't dig the peach that much. I once ate the peach.
Oh,
Don't recommend
yums.
that.
Yums.
Yeah,
Oh,
no,
I love
don't.
it.
No, that's a bad night.
Oh, I love it. I love the peach moonshine. And I eat all the peaches. I love it. I love it.
So there's actually a guy that I work with. He actually has a legal distillery. I mean, he went into business called Hook and Ladder Moonshine. He retired from our department, and he has a place down on Center Street where he makes all kinds of different flavors. He even does whiskeys now. So he went into the
Oh,
to
really?
the liquor business. Yeah.
Yums. That sounds really good. But I definitely we need to do something and get together. And are you guys coming to Phenomenology or the Gettysburg Battlefield Bash? Those two things. I mean, I know I've mentioned them to you guys, but I didn't know.
No. I don't think we are. Our schedule is kind of crazy. I would love to try and make one of them, but with work schedule and things, there's just no way to get both of those. We looked at those dates. We do have a few other things coming. We got some
Yeah.
publics coming up. We've
Yeah.
got we're going to be. I know we're going to be at what is it? The one in Vegas, the Paracon in Vegas. We're
Oh, I
doing
heard
that one
about
for
that.
sure. Yep, we're doing Scarefest, I believe. We're also doing it. I don't think we're going to make it to some of the others, unfortunately.
Yeah. So what do you have coming? Do you guys have, like, I know you just said you're going to be going to places, but what do you guys have any of the local stuff going on? Do you have any?
Yeah. We've got 3 investigations coming up this month. We've got dates already booked out for July and August for a couple of our public locations. So I think we've got 5 or 6 already lined up coming out this year, or for the rest of this year. Gosh, we've got a road trip somewhere in July. I'm not sure exactly where we're headed yet. We're still debating on some locations with that. Obviously. Gettysburg. Well, we're going to talk about that. And I'm going to get with the team and we'll talk about that for sure. In June, Sky and I are teaching a class. The information is available on her site, my site, so mediumskyrray.com. It's available on her social media, my social media. Matthew Sorge SRS is Matthew Sorge _SRS, I think, is my public figure Facebook. But anyways, it's available there. So we're teaching a class, and it's basically using your energies in the paranormal. So it's kind of how we work. Not only how my team works, but also how we work when we work with Sky, how her and I work together when we work together. So it's for paranormal enthusiasts. So we are doing that in June. We'll probably be teaching that again later. There's a bunch of cool giveaways with that. Like I said, the documentary will be hopefully coming out in July. And yeah, we'll be all over the place. I know we've got a couple of other things. I don't have dates yet, so I can't really announce them, but we do have some investigative events happening in some other states too. But Sky and I are doing, as well as the team will be involved in a few things too. So you can go to srsparanormal.com. We have most of our events updated there regularly. Or the best place to see what we're into is usually our Facebook page at SRS Paranormal Fans. And we're always somewhere doing something, as you know.
And where can they go to the documentary? Like,
Yeah,
is
so
there a page for that?
Yep. It's going to have its own website. I have not put it together yet, but it will have its own site. Shadowworks Productions, the production company, that Facebook page, Shadowwork Productions LLC. SRS Paranormal will also be sharing all of that. And if you go to our srsparanormal.com, Field of Fears film, there is a page link there that will have all of the latest information leading on up to the launch of the actual doc. And the book will release at the same time. And there you go. Sky said free signed copies of her book and free readings for the class if you sign up for the class we're teaching.
Awesome. Well,
and I got one other thing in 2022. The Hexpo, the big Paracon that we are hosting in Asheville. We will have a wide list of paranormal celebrities, metaphysical celebrities, people from all different things in the paranormal, authors, all kinds of stuff, horror folks, like a big scare fest type of event. It will be in Asheville. Unfortunately, due to COVID, it was supposed to be last year, but it got moved. So it will be August of 2022. You can view that at thehexpo.com. That's the big Paracon that SRS Paranormal is hosting. So yes, very busy. Lots of irons in the fire.
When in August?
August, I believe it is 17th through the 19th of 2022. It's on the website. We've changed the date like 15
What is
times
that,
because
a
of
Friday
COVID.
to Sunday? Friday to
It's
Sunday?
Friday, Saturday is the primary days, and then Sunday everybody be leaving, of course. But
maybe I'm gonna try to maybe fit that in my. I only get 10. I'm only allowed 10 days off of a year.
oh
So,
wow,
yeah. If not, I don't know how far Tennessee is. It's in Tennessee, right? You said.
it's in Asheville, North Carolina. So it's about 45 minutes from. It's about it's about 45 minutes from Tennessee to Asheville. Maybe under an hour from here to there.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
So maybe I'll try to think if maybe I'll just come. I'll come there.
That'd be awesome.
Sure. Just to show up and hang out. Say hey.
You want to help us work it? I'll put you to work if you volunteer. We'll hook you up.
I love it.
We'll make you a guest. We'll put you to work.
Yeah.
You know what you could do? You could go live from the Brew there and give people updates.
Absolutely. And interview people? Yeah, definitely.
All right.
Yeah,
we'll talk. We'll plan that.
Yeah. And you got to get me in touch with the stop guy.
I will. I will get you in touch with Dan Allen, and Dan Allen will definitely come on your show. He's a great guy. He has some great, not just the Randolph County Asylum. He has the old Blackford County Jail, the Stone Mansion, and there's one other location that he has. I can't remember the name of right now.
You have a question really quick.
Have I ever been to the Grand Old Lady Hotel? I have not. It is one of those that we have a lot of people have a bucket list. We have a paranormal bucket list. It's our paranormal list. It's our places we're going to go. And we've been checking them off.
That's awesome.
Hinsdale and Wildwood was some of them. So each year we try to get at least one off of our list. And that is on our list. I have not been there, no.
Awesome.
But if anybody has any other questions, I can take a couple real quick before we get off here.
Absolutely.
I love questions. I love talking to people.
Oh, there was a question. I'm going to go back up because I told him, I don't even know if he's still on. I feel really bad.
I'm sorry. I'm bad about reading questions when I'm interviewing. If I'm doing your job, I do. But when I'm over here, what happens if I read those questions, I forget what I'm saying. So I just ignore them and just keep talking.
Well, I told him I was going to get to his question. So I took a screenshot. But it was hold on. This is why I took a screenshot, because I was like, it's going to get lost. I know it. So Darren Buss, he was on earlier. I don't know if he's still here. I'm trying to see if I can find him. Oh, here he is. Here, this is the question.
Yeah. Okay. So to me, for residential work, and we do a lot of residential work now, you'll never hear about our residential work on any of our social media or any places, because that is between you and the client. So that's a very sacred thing. And the way that we view residential work is these people are at their last hope, right? They're asking us to come in. They're at their wits' end. The last thing they need is a bunch of people showing up with a bunch of gadgets and gizmos and trying to film an episode of XYZ TV show in their living room. That's not how we do residential work at all. It's research. It starts with interviews. It starts with talking to the family, talking to the people that are being affected, finding out what's going on, getting as much history about the property and the house as we can. There's, in our case, a nearly 45 questionnaire that we go through. I think it might be over 45 questions. I don't remember now. But it goes through everything. It goes through mental health. It goes through drug and alcohol abuse. It goes through, personal experience. And that's all relevant, because a lot of times what's happening may not be paranormal at all. In fact, 95 to 98% of the time, it's either, if it is paranormal, it's a loved one that's visiting them for whatever reason, or it is completely explainable through a mental health issue, substance abuse issue, or just something happening in, environmental factor that is occurring. So, to answer that question, it depends. If we feel like the person is the cause of the problem, we'll allow them to be there. Obviously, it's their home. They're inviting us in. We may ask them to leave for a while and then let us check it out separately. That also is to rule out stuff like PEK or poltergeist activity. If we're thinking it's something that's happening, like, kinetic type activity where their mind is creating it, and I'm mincing my words, but it's PEK type energy. If we think that's happening, or we have a poltergeist situation where it's a young child that's generating this, like especially somebody of pubescent age, we may try to separate them from the environment to verify that. But sometimes, you need them there. I think it's both. I think you have to weigh that by what's going on. But I will say this: most of the time when we come in, we do our baselines, we do the questionnaire, we have our psychic walkthrough. Thank you. We have our psychic walkthrough and see what, they connect with, whatever psychic, is whatever they're feeling or connecting with. And 99% of the time, we can resolve those residential cases without ever coming in and bringing in a bunch of gear. It's entirely different than when we're working at our own home haunt, the Nickerson's Need, or if we're at an infamous haunting like the Randolph County. Two totally different approaches, two totally different methods of work.
Absolutely. I know the last 5 private cases that come across our computer or phones or whatever, we didn't investigate. We helped the families without doing an investigation.
Absolutely.
So to me, that's a successful case,
Absolutely.
not having to do an
100%.
investigation,
Yep.
So, and I keep in touch, every once in a while I say, how are things going and how are you guys doing? And you get a good report back, you feel like you actually, this is what it's about. It's helping people. It's not getting in there to get investigation and get, evidence or get EVPs, you're trying, you want to not try to do an investigation in a home, So I think that's awesome. For me, with that whole thing is I tend to like the environment to be as natural as possible. Now, while we're investigating, I may ask the family to, not turn on any TVs. We want it as quiet as possible,
Control your environment for sure.
Yeah, control the environment. And if they have to, so a lot of times the clients will offer to leave. They'll just say, look, we're going to go to dinner. We're going to go here. We're going to go there, so we're not in your way. But we would never ask the family to leave their home. If they do want to stay, we just tell them, all right, go in your bedroom and just try to be quiet. And they are, I feel like a lot of times, whatever energy's there, the family is the one that's bringing it out, so.
Exactly. And that's the only way sometimes you can determine that too, is sometimes you do have to kind of separate them from the environment a little bit, in some cases. But like you said, the majority of the time we can resolve these things without ever getting into the quote unquote investigation mode. I think honestly, in the last probably, 24 residential cases we've done in the last 2 years or so, I think I can think of one where we actually had to go back and actually do a full investigation.
Right.
And then we did determine a little bit more, and there was some evidence to back up what we suspected at that point, and it was able to help us convince the homeowners what needed to happen to work through the issue that was going on.
You're getting some love, Matt.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it, guys. Thank you so very much.
But you're easy to love.
Thank
you.
I love you too, Taryn.
So I'm gonna let you go. But I do appreciate your time, and I always love. I mean, you got to come back on after,
of course, anytime.
After it launches, and after we watch it, and maybe I cannot wait to see it. You'll have to come back on, and we'll have to talk about it, because then you'll be able to talk about more that happened.
Yeah, I'll be able to
Yeah.
go into some of the details of the behind the scenes stuff, some of the
Yeah.
nitty gritty stuff for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely, and when we've taken a little bit of a hiatus from our show, but when we get back on or get back up, I definitely want to have you come back on. What we really should try to do, Taryn, is we should try to like maybe quarterly or every so often kind of do a cross platform thing where we
Yeah.
start on your show or my show and we cross over to the other and kind of just
Yes.
keep the thing going and switch channels, and I don't know, it'd just be fun, kind of like
I
a
think it would be
like
fun.
like a virtual co-op.
Yeah, that would be so awesome. I'm so down. So down.
Thank you,
For
I
sure.
appreciate that.
Love you.
All right,
And
same here. Love you too.
and
Tell
we'll be in touch. Obviously, we talk all the time, so we'll
yes,
definitely be in touch. And
of course,
please keep me posted when this is going to come out. I want
I
to
will.
blast it everywhere, and so as soon as it's going to come out, I want to know.
Absolutely. And the team in Sky, they always send their love your way too, so they think the world of you too. So
Aw, to give them my love. Mwah.
we'll talk soon. Thank
Yeah,
you, everybody.
definitely.
Enjoyed
All right.
being here. You all have a great night. Thank you.
Good night, Matt.
All right.
Thank you.
All right, no problem. Talk to you later, Taryn. Bye.
See ya. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me. Please check out the documentary. I mean, it looks amazing. The group is amazing. So I really do hold them to high standards. So can't wait for it to come out. Make sure you check it out. Field of Fears, and but I'll be sharing it and everything like that. So thank you for joining me. And I will be back next week. I think I have next week I have Tim Mail. He runs a Paracon, I believe. I don't want to say where it's at because I'm going to mess it up, but Michigan or Ohio. Is this it? Tim Mail runs a Paragon that all the proceeds go towards animal rescues. And he actually has raised over $61,000 for animal rescues, which I'm totally in love with this whole thing. Like I just found out about it and I didn't know about it. And I said, he's got to come on because I need to know about it. But make sure you check it out. If you're a huge animal lover, I'm going to share it on a lot of my rescue pages that I'm with and everything. And, but he'll be on next week. I love everybody. Thank you so much for joining in, and I'll see you guys next week.